All right, y'all gotta excuse my dog. He got hold to a lot of fleas and stuff, and we're working on that. I'm gonna give him a nice little bath. So in the meantime, you can see why he scratch and lick his balls, and why I tell these stories. You know. Anyway, so let's where we going at. So we're at right now. Okay, so what happened was we are in Houston. Oh no, oh yeah, how I almost caught AIDS. Did I tell you about that story? Yeah, I think I did tell you about that story. Yeah, because Jeff died, and I said, "Rest in peace, Jeff." So I did tell you that story. So what happened after that? Okay, so we end up leaving Ann's house with her kids, and where did we end up at? Where did we end up at? We end up. I remember we were staying with my aunt in Austin, and I met this girl that I used to walk a long distance just to catch at the bus stop. And she let me in her house while her parents was gone. It was just her and her little brother. And his dog. So it was me and her. It was me, her, and her little brother was there. And she was a cute girl. Years later, I saw her, and I'm glad that things didn't work out between us, because she didn't look as beautiful as she once did. So I dodged that bullet. But what did I bring that story up? I brought that story up because during that time frame, I had bumped into the guy that looked like me again. He went to the same school. And like I say, these stories can be about friends and family. So it's been a while since I spoke to him. Him and I still look identical. We going to the same school, and people was thinking like, "Oh, we didn't know you had a twin brother." And him and I would just laugh, and we'd just play it along. So yeah, we was separated when we was younger. You know what I mean? So but we used to play along with it. I was only at that school for like 2 months before we ended up getting pulled out. But what happened was he wanted me to test his girlfriend because he didn't trust his girlfriend. And so, being that him and I looked alike, he figured that she would be attracted to me, of course, right? But it was the personality that he was concerned about. He figured like, do she like him for him? You know what I mean? Because if not, because he had this doubt that she didn't really like him when me and her and him was hanging out, because she seemed to be laughing a lot about the stuff that I would say or do. You know what I mean? And he said that he kind of like was kind of curious, like what I'm saying, because he was thinking that his girl's only supposed to laugh at his jokes and things. So he wanted me to kind of like test her, like he wanted me to push up on her and stuff. I like, nah, man, I don't want to do that. The only reason why I said I didn't want to do that because I figured that he might end up losing her, and I knew how much he cared for her because the way he was acting towards her. You know what I'm saying? He didn't act like crazy towards me about it. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't know. He didn't act like that. He actually thought that him and I was brothers. We used to have all types of questions for my mom and stuff. Like, you sure you didn't give birth to two babies that day? But anyhow, we didn't go about on that path. However, his girlfriend was cheating on him, and he didn't know about it until I found out about it, because I was over at my cousin's house one day, and my cousin and I, we was like the same age, and my cousin, we was going out to the movies. It was just me, my cousin, and his sister. We was all going out to the movies. So we got dropped off at Town Center in Austin to go watch the movie. And was it Town Center? No, I think it was Holly Mall. Town Center is Funky Town. Holly Mall. It was Holly Mall. I'm sorry, my bad. It was Holly Mall. And the funny part was his date was my homeboy's girlfriend. When she saw me, she when she saw me, because she was with some other friend, because she said she had a friend for me. You know what I'm saying? And at that time, we didn't have like the way we have right now. We have phones, we can like have video chat. We didn't have all that. So it was a blind date. But she was saying that she was telling her friend that, you know, my cousin got good looking cousins, and she figured that I would be good looking too. And besides saying my name, I had gave her a name that cause my cousin called me, my cousin don't call me the school name, okay? He called me by another name. And that's how I normally know where a person know me from. If I bump into them on the streets, I know that they know me from a particular area by the name that they call me. You get what I mean? Because my family only called me a particular type of name, and the people in school only called me a particular type of name, and the people in the streets only called me a particular type of name. So it all goes about on how, I mean, what name that they call me and say, okay, this person know me from the street, or this person used to go to school with me, or a person's a family member. But I would know if the person's a family member. Or this person might know me through a family member. So if they call me a family member name and I don't recognize them, I say, oh, he must or she must met me through a family member of mine. So I always went by the name of how a person knew me if I didn't recognize the person's face. Okay, so anyway, so when we came about, she was with her friends. She was with two of her friends, and when they saw us, and me and her locked eyes, we was at a distance. She quickly turned her back towards me, and just started walking away from me. And her friend or cousin, whatever they were to her, they were basically like trying to figure out what was going on. And I guess she said it, and then they all looked at me. And when they saw me, I guess they met her boyfriend. So when they saw me, their eyes kind of widened. Oh shit, you know what I mean? So anyhow, she found out that I wasn't her boyfriend, but she found out I was, you know, who I was and that I knew her boyfriend. And okay, this is one of those stories when I say that, I don't know, did I ever tell y'all that I have a situation with my family? No, I never told y'all. See, growing up, I always had this situation with family and friends when they was always falsely accusing me of sleeping or messing around with their girlfriends. But I never done that. And I'm going to share a lot of stories where I was accused of doing that by my cousin or my friend, but I never done that. I never done that in my entire life. But anyway, so this was the first time. So anyhow, she didn't want me to tell my homeboy about her, okay? And so, did I tell my homeboy about her? No, I didn't. I didn't because I don't know why. I do know why I didn't. I didn't want to tell her because I promised her that I wouldn't tell him, and I should never kept that promise. But I learned. I've learned. I was young. I was 14. I learned. But here's the thing. When I saw her with him this time, and you know, he was telling me how much he liked her and stuff like that. See, on the cool, he was cheating on her too with several other girls. You know what I mean? And you know, but he always put her on a pedestal, right? Like she was like loyal and faithful to him. And I never co-signed that. I like, yeah, man, I never did. I just don't. But I did, I did throw some like a little seed. Like, I don't know, man, I wouldn't trust nobody, especially a girl. But you know what I'm saying? Not when it comes to love, you know what I mean? And he like, nah, I trust her. She good. I said, yeah, I wouldn't trust her though. But I would never drop the dime on and say, yeah, man, she hooked up with my cousin. I didn't say that. But he eventually found out and he confronted me. He was like, yo, man, I just found out my girl is cheating on me with your cousin. I like, what? And he like, yeah. He asked me, he said, did you know? And that put me on the spot. That put me in the spot. And I'm not a good liar, and I know I wasn't a good liar. I just the way I've been all my life, At that time when I didn't tell him about her, I wasn't lying. I just kept the truth from him by not saying anything. But I didn't lie to him, you know what I mean? But when he asked me, did I know? I told him I did. And I said I didn't want to tell you was because I knew how much you cared about her, and I didn't want, you know what I'm saying, you to be upset, you know what I mean? But I should have told you, but yeah. So he looked at me like I betrayed him. He just walked away. And I didn't see him for a very, very long time. And yeah, and that really hit home with me because him and I was close. He didn't argue with me. He didn't, he just became nonchalant. And after that had happened, it was a week later before I ended up getting pulled out of school and where did I go? Oh, yeah. I had called my dad. He was in Fort Worth, and I was like telling him that I wanted to come spend time with him. And my dad, he was like, all right, I'm on my way. It was like when I called him, it was like 9 p.m. And I didn't think he was coming, but he said he was coming. And like 1 o'clock, he came over to my aunt's house. He was like, you got your bags, you ready? And I was shocked, like, you really came? He was like, yeah, come on. And then when I got in a car with him, he kept on looking at his gas in, and he was like, I don't know if we're gonna make it. I was like, what you mean? He was like, we don't got that much gas. And I'm like, well, put some gas in it. And basically he would let me know, I don't got no money to put no gas in it. You know what I'm saying? He had his Cadillac. We made it, but he didn't even have no money to even come and get me. He was struggling. He was financially struggling. And yeah, but he came and got me. But anyway, friends, and I tell you this, here's a lesson that I learned from that about not telling my homeboy the truth. Sometimes we get in a situation where we don't want to tell someone we care about anything that would hurt them. And a lot of times, when we with our significant other, our partner, or I don't want to like using the word partner, when you with your girlfriend, your significant other, or when a girl's with her boyfriend, but I'm speaking from a man perspective. We don't want to say anything or do anything that we know that would upset our woman, because one of our duties is protect her, and protecting her is not just physically, it's also emotionally. And some will argue and say, well, you never should do certain things that you do. And we can go on to that topic, but it won't be in this story right here. And I can elaborate on where I'm coming from about why guys do a lot of things that they do, And I'm not excusing the behavior in the way I am, but I'm not. It's just that it's like this. If a dog, and I don't mean to compare a dog to a man, but if a dog was created to do certain things that dogs do, let's just say that you caught your dog digging in the dirt and burying his bones and then covering the dirt back up. And you find that your dog just be doing this, and then you punish your dog because he be doing this, you know what I mean? And then you like, look, my cat don't do it, why you do it, you know what I mean? And it's like, the dog would look at you like, yo, I'm a dog. That's what dogs do. We bury our bones. You get what I mean? But they say, don't do that. So the dog said, okay, I would try not to do that. So the dog kind of got going against its nature to not do something that it normally does. It was created to do these certain things. And what I believe is that when guys have this drive to even have to make out with girls they don't even find attractive. They will make out with girls they don't even like. Like, why are we built that way? Why are we built to make out with a girl we don't even like? Or a girl we're not even attracted to? Why would we? And I'm not saying we would wife them or be in a serious relationship, but we would still make out with them. Why are we like that? You know what I mean? Why were we created to be that way? And that ain't questioned enough. But I don't want to go into that. But that's where I was going to go with in another story. I'll go another way. But anyway, back to the friend thing. And my advice is that if you see something that you know is not right and it can cause harm to your friend, as a good friend, I think that you should tell them, despite that I might hurt them, because the truth does hurt. And if a person can't handle the truth, that's not on you, okay? Especially if you want this person to live by truth and not by lies. And not only them, but you. If you want to call yourself real and you fake with the people that you are real to, how can you say that you're real to them if you faking about certain things? If you're not truthful? You know, and this is the problem I have with family and friends. You know, I've been in situations, I'm not gonna put this in the story yet, but I've been in situations where I was hurt because my own family and my own friends thought I was this way when I was nothing like that. And that hurted me because they thought I was like that and I was nothing like that. You know what I mean? They think that when I did a certain thing, it meant that I'm this kind of person. But you can do something and they cannot understand why you did it. And someone would be so impatient or so short-tempered that they don't even try to understand. And then that hurts me because if you love me, why not give me an opportunity to show you something different than what you're seeing in your head about me? Because there always can be a misunderstanding about something. You know, sometimes when you misunderstand something and then you roll with that misunderstanding and then later on found out that, dang, you even like that. I didn't even realize that. And now it's too late because of the way you behaved. Because you wasn't patient enough just to understand someone. A lot of people would say there's no such thing as unconditional love. I disagree. I disagree with that. And I disagree with that because, you know, there's a lot of family members that I cannot stand. It's not that I hate them. It's just I don't stand. I don't like their ways. I don't like what they do. I don't like the way they talk. I don't like the way they behave. So that's doing to. Um, I I would my life would be a lot better without them in it because of the way they act, the way they talk. You know. However, if I was to see anybody outside of my family jumping on these individuals, trying to hurt these individuals, I would step in to protect that family member. Despite that, I don't like this individual or nothing. I will step in to protect my family member. Despite that, I don't like that motherfucker. You know what I mean? I will step in. And I'm not just saying that because, you know, I'm not in this situation right now because I've been in that situation, but I have done it. So I can say what I will do because I've done it. I've done it for family and I've done it for friends. I put my life on the line several times for family members and several times for friends. So I'm speaking from that from experience. And that is what I call unconditional love. I love them, but I don't like them. And I don't want to have nothing to do with them. And I don't want to crash out, but I ain't going to stand there and let nobody hurt them. I'm just not. You know, and you can say, oh, you just a good person. Well, no, I disagree because I might see a dude getting his butt smashed in. I'm not finna intervene like, dang, I wonder what he did. You know what I mean? I'm not no Superman. I'm not going around save people. Now, if I can intervene and help someone keep trouble down, I probably would. But most of the time, I just be minding my own business. You get what I mean? I gotta, but there have been times where I intervene with strangers. There have been times that I've done that, but that's not the point. My point is back to the story. Back to the story is that I believe there is a such thing as unconditional love. I can give you another example. Let's say you had a child, and let's say that you're not into that LGBTQ crap, okay? Let's just say you're against that, and one of your children becomes one of those. Do you hate your child? No, you don't hate your child. You're just not going to be very supportive in their movement. You know what I mean? You're not going to hate your child. It's going to hurt you that your child end up probably like that, but you're not going to hate your child. And your child can do a lot of things that, you would not let slide if someone else done it. But that person, but you'll say, stay away from me because I don't want to kill you or whatever. You know what I mean? But unconditional love, in my opinion, is when it doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter what you say. I'm always going to love you. I'm always going to love you. And the hard part about that is that a lot of people just use the word love loosely. They'll tell you they love you and turn around and stab you in the back. They'll tell you they love you and turn around and grape you. They tell you they love you and kick you out where you don't have a place to stay and you in a bad situation. It confuses you. My thing is love is an action. Okay, love is a action. My action is to say, I might have to kick you out because the problems that you're bringing inside my household. I might have to treat you this way that makes you feel bad or put you in a bad position, but I still love you. You know what I mean? So it confuses people because they don't look at it as love because you being mistreated this way. But then you got to ask yourself, what did I do to be mistreated this way? And that's where the accountability comes in at. Accountability comes in at, it's like, did you do anything that caused me to kick you out? Did you do anything to cause me not to mess with you anymore? What did you do to make me do this? Because I put boundaries towards everybody. I'm not going to allow you to treat me any kind of way, talk to me any kind of way. There's boundaries. And I love you, but I put boundaries because I love me too. So I'm not just going to allow you to just treat me any kind of way. I probably endure and put up with a lot of crap, but I'm not going, there's going to be a line that I'm not going to allow you to cross. And I will put myself out and I will not eat what you're trying to serve me just to prove my point. Like, this is where I draw the line at. But you got a lot of individuals that get online and they be like, oh, screw family. I don't care that you're family. Woo. I ain't advertising that. I don't subscribe to that. Because when it all comes down, y'all, we all need each other. We don't need each other to make our life worse. We don't need that. But if we put our mind right, when we get our mind right, we need each other, y'all. This world's too big for one person to try to survive on his own. You got way too many people that's grouped up going against one person. We need each other. We just need the right people in our circle. The people that can understand that, hey, if we play as a good team to win and have a certain goal in mind that we can all prevail together, then we need to put our minds together and make it happen. What do we have to put aside to make that happen? As friends, as family, what do we have to do to make that happen? And so I know I kind of went on a tangent. No, it's not a tangent. Tangent is something you hold. You know what I mean. I went off the cliff with it. I know I kind of went off the cliff. I get confused with some words that I be learning and I ain't used in a long time. But anyway, I guess I should keep it simple, right? Keep it simple, stupid, kiss. So anyhow, back to my point. I should have told him. I should have told my friend that his girl was cheating on him. I should never kept that from him. Don't lie to your friends. Don't lie to your family. If you think that if the family member would find out that you knew about something and you didn't tell them, I think it's best if you tell them. Just to clear you out of that doubtness of you actually being loyal to your friend. I think you should tell them. Or if a situation come in where the other person should tell that person, you should, get them to do that before you have to do it. You know what I mean? All I'm saying is don't be the bad guy in a relationship that you have with a family member or a friend. Even if they perceive you to be the bad guy because of misunderstanding, that's just out of your control. You don't have any control of how a person receives things, how a person feel about things. You don't have any control over that. So just try to be good to yourself and try to be decent towards others. That's all I got for you.